Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hi. Thank you all for joining me again for another of our Torah sessions. My magazine didn't come in the mail, so I can't put that aside. But we got my phone. Obviously, I'll use it again when we have our music, but I read a lot of news on this, so I'm going to take my phone and put it to the side for a moment. We're going to focus on reading some Torah and doing some learning. Got some kippot to put on. I'm going to put on this big kind of generic one. I don't know why I called it generic. It's got a big Jewish star on it. That's great. That's a good detail. I guess I said generic because it doesn't look like a baseball or have Jerusalem on it. Anyway. Alright. There it is. So, we're going to read some Torah. Before we do that, we have our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. Remember, hallows is like to make special or to like emphasize. All right, we are reading Maslow, which is in the book of Numbers. Now we're going to go to chapter 7. And Moses has the leaders of the people. You know, there are 12 tribes of Israel, so there are 12 leaders. And he has them all go to the center of the camp, to the tabernacle, where the Torah is, where God dwells among the people within, not really a building, but within like, it's a thing that they built, and that's where God dwells among the people. If that sounds a little fantasy-ish, okay, but that's what the Torah says happened. And so the chieftains come, the leaders come, and they bring these sacrifices, and just see if you can notice a pattern. The one who presented his offering on the first day was Nachshon, son of Amminadab of the tribe of Judah. His offering, 1 silver bowl weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver basin of 70 shekels by the sanctuary weight, both filled with choice flour with oil mixed in for a meal offering. 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense. 1 bull of the herd, 1 ram, and 1 lamb in its first year for a burnt offering. 1 goat for a sin offering, and for his sacrifice of well-being, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 yearling lambs. That was the offering of Nachshon, son of Amminadab. On the second day, Nathaniel, son of Zuar, chieftain of Issachar, made his offering. He presented as his offering 1 silver bowl, weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver basin of 70 shekels by the sanctuary weight, both filled with choice flour with oil mixed in. For a meal offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels, filled with incense. 1 bull of the herd, 1 ram, and 1 lamb in its first year for a burnt offering. 1 goat for a sin offering, and for his sacrifice of well-being, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 yearling lambs. That was the offering of Nathaniel, son of Zuar. Do you see the pattern? The 2 leaders bring identical stuff. And this actually happens 12 times, right? 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. So the Torah, for some reason, does not say each leader brought and then lists everything. It says this leader brings this and lists it. Then it says this leader brings this and lists the same thing. And then again, this leader brings this and lists the same thing again. And of course, back then when they were writing the Torah, and it's written on scrolls, you can't copy-paste it. It's actually very difficult to write the same thing over and over. I imagine it gets kind of boring, but at the very least, it's a lot of work for the scribe who's writing it. And the rabbis will teach that everything in the Torah is important, but they mean it in a very literal sense of, because obviously the Torah is important, duh, but every word is important. And so the fact that it is listed each time rather than the sacrifice saying everyone gave this and then only gives it once. The fact that the list appears a couple of different times, that's important. And so that's something that we can learn from. So what would we learn from it? I think that it is a good lesson on giving things and making sure that what you are giving, someone else is also giving, and that what you're giving isn't overwhelming to you. This is things that these people, obviously, they can afford. They're giving from their herds, they're giving from their collection of flour, but they aren't doing it so they have none left. And so, obviously, this week has been a very difficult week for the country, especially people of color in our communities, where there's been a lot of focus on police violence that happens all the time, and it shouldn't, obviously. But now there's all this attention on it, and people of color want to take advantage of this attention and say, okay, now we would like some things to be changed. And people who aren't people of color, who want to be supportive, they should step up and do something, but you want to make sure when you do something that you are supporting the people who need it, rather than taking the attention for yourself, or rather than acting in a way that actually undermines them because what you're doing is so extravagant. And so I think that this is a good lesson for this particular week, as the Torah often is, amazingly, that if you want to give your support to these protests, to this movement, to stop this kind of unjust police violence, to just be mindful about what you are contributing, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's resources, whether it's emotional support, and give what you can, but also take stock of what other people are doing, and talk to them. Also, don't just look and see, okay, what's everyone else doing? How can I be supportive in a way that is useful, but also supportive in a way that's collaborative, rather than taking the situation over. There's a Jewish teaching from the rabbis in Pirkei Avot, which is the wisdom of the ancestors, and the little line goes, it's not your duty to complete the task, but nor are you allowed to not do anything. I kind of chopped it up a bit there, but whatever. Basically, you don't have to finish everything. There's a lot of stuff in the world that needs a lot of work, and it isn't really your job to completely finish it because you're just one person. But whatever these big jobs are, whether it's racial justice, whether it's prison reform, whether it's immigration reform, whether it's whatever particular cause is really important to you, I just named off the ones that are on my mind and that are meaningful to me, you should do something. You can't do nothing, because if everyone did nothing, it wouldn't get done. But if you can contribute something, and then other people contribute something, then it will start to get done. And it may not be finished in your lifetime, although I hope that this particular thing is. But at the very least, you know that you're sort of moving the ball forward, and you're doing what you can. And you're doing it in a way to be supportive, rather than to be self-aggrandizing and say, look at me and look at all the things that I can do. All these leaders, it would be very stunning if the 12th leader showed up and said, actually, I'm bringing 20 shekels worth of incense, rather than, I think it said it was 10. Like, obviously, that would undercut a lot of what's going on. It's good to bring more, but you don't want to do it in a way that brings attention to yourself, and attention away from the cause. Anyway, that is this week's lesson. If you are participating in any of the protests, I hope that you are being safe and mindful and wearing a mask to stay safe, because of course there's still the pandemic going on. And it is important to keep yourself safe most of all, because once you are in danger, if you get sick, if you get hurt, then obviously you are less able to help other people. So it's important we take care of ourselves. So with all that in mind, let's turn to some Debbie Friedman. If you have anyone on your mind who you know who is sick, or if you just want to think about the protests, or someone you know who might be feeling particularly affected by the things going on right now, now's a good time to think about them and just reflect on how you can be supportive, or just take a moment to just kind of think about it, because our days are busy, even though we're at home all the time. And sometimes it's difficult to find time to just go to sit and think.
Find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Okay, cool. Good. So, I hope you have a safe and restful weekend. Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you all again next week. If you have any questions about this or anything, feel free to email me at the Jewish Life email address. All right. Bye.